Over 20 U.S. veterans will end their life today. That's the realization us veterans face and as a society. But how does it get to that moment? How do veterans end up in that place? Research studies show that 52% of veterans face loneliness, depression, PTSD, and suicide. But before we get into more statistics, we have to figure out who veterans are. Veterans can be 19 years of age and are 8.4% of the entire nation's adult population. That accounts for over 19 million men and women across America. Most of them are from the Vietnam War era and are over the age of 75, while 3.31 million are men aged 35 to 54, and 644,475 of them are women aged 35 to 54. But now that we know who veterans are, we need to talk about the fight that veterans face after service. The three most common mental health concerns of veterans are PTSD, depression, and traumatic brain injury, or TBI, and are the most publicized. 11 to 20% of Afghanistan and Iraq war veterans face PTSD, and I'm a part of that statistic. 12% of the Gulf War veterans, which is when my dad joined the military, and 15% of Vietnam War veterans state that they face PTSD every day. And I ask again, how does it get to this point? It's because they've lost their identity. We're told day one in basic training that you are the best of the best. You are the top 1% that all of America has to offer. Now, not everyone can serve or will serve, but the honor of defending America's freedom from all enemies, foreign and domestic, is a responsibility that few will ever experience or can even fathom. Day one of basic training, we're told that we're civilian bottom feeders and we're scum. And then we get built into this military machine. What happens after service? 50% of the nation's veterans face homelessness. That accounts for 1.5 million veterans that face homelessness and suicide. I question if that building up of a military machine and a tearing down of the individualistic civilian mindset is the root cause. I was a drill instructor from 2009 to 2013 at Lackland Air Force Base, San Antonio, Texas. It was my job to tear down those civilians, destroy old habits, and build them into a military machine. I not only went through basic training, I went back for more. During my time as a drill instructor, it was my responsibility to make sure that either be rolling and folding clothes, marching drills, or screaming at them at the top of my lungs while they do push-ups for their wrongdoings. It was my job to build each men and women into military leaders. After the first week, their individual will starts to break. At the end of the third week of basic training, their individual will is broken, their self-esteem is low, the leaders rise while the followers cling to their wingmen. This is the process of basic training that begins the buildup of the military machine. After the third week of training, the hierarchy inside of that basic training flight, which is the men or women that will go through basic training together, form a team. Because it takes a team for the U.S. military to accomplish its mission. We follow orders or people die. It's that simple. We don't take notes. We don't ask questions. We simply follow orders. Day one of basic training, that is exactly what we programmed them to do. Do not ask questions, just do. After they graduate basic training in tech school, they go to their first duty station. It is here that we give them the ultimate identity and welcoming them into the military family. While off duty, we attend barbecues, weddings, birthdays, and celebratory moments like promotions. We know each other's spouses, kids, and we look after them. We then deploy with our servicemen and women, and we put our lives into each other's hands and trust them that we'll come home safe. We spend hours in the desert heat fixing airplanes, vehicles, equipment, or engaging an enemy by returning fire. We serve at the best and the worst times of our military career, and we do it alongside our brothers and sisters. Unfortunately, the military identity doesn't last forever. One of the hardest moments of my life was putting away my military uniform. I joined November 27th, 2001, right after 9/11, and my last day of service was December 1st, 2021. We have a retirement ceremony. We get our presidential certificates and our medals, and we shake hands in front of our friends and family and our fellow servicemen and women, and we leave. That's it. That's all there is. 20 years. The loneliest place on earth is when you achieve what you think will deliver the ultimate happiness, what you think will achieve the most extremely satisfying feeling you've ever felt. And that accomplishment lets you down. The replaced feeling is, that's it. That's all there is. After service, we try to get a job. We try to integrate back into a civilian world who doesn't even know who we are or where we've been or what we've experienced. We don't connect to civilians in certain ways because we don't know what it feels like to hold a 9-to-5 job, to be home every weekend, to be home for every holiday, to not miss a birthday, not miss a birth. Civilians can identify with the veterans because they haven't experienced what we've experienced. And so there's a certain disconnect that veterans feel to the outside world. Veterans need to find a support network outside of their immediate family. We needed a new mission, a new cause, because post 9/11 veterans are dying at higher rates than other Americans, and it increases if that veteran has a post-traumatic stress disorder or a traumatic brain injury. It grows 16% higher for the ones that have served in Afghanistan and Iraq. I'll tell you a story that sums up how veterans sometimes feel. A soldier's walking down the street. He falls into a hole. He scratches and claws to get out of the hole and cries for help. A senior military leader is walking by and looks down into the hole, sees the soldier crying. He says, "How'd you get down there?" "I don't know, sir. I need help getting out." "Man, you have all the tools you need to succeed. Dig deep, man." So he grabs a shovel and digs deeper. Just then, a psychologist and a therapist are walking by, and they hear that soldier's cries for help. And they look down. "How did you get there?" So I don't know, but I really need help getting out. So they pull up a chair and they sit and talk with them for an hour. At the end of that hour, they fold up the chair and they say, it'll be okay, and we'll see you next week. Just then a soldier is walking by, having a good time listening to music, and he sees that soldier weeping who has no more energy to try to get out of that hole. And so he jumps down into the hole with that soldier. And that first soldier realizes, he goes, hey, what are you doing here? Now we're both stuck. He says, no, man, I was already in this hole last week, and I know how to get out. If we as a society spend as much time understanding the veterans and what they've been through, as much time as we spend thanking them for their service, we may save lives. If we as a human society show even more empathy, more grace, more understanding, more kindness, we may save even more lives. The DoD has created something called the DoD Skill Bridge program, which integrates service members who are transitioning into internship opportunities. It connects them to private and public sector organizations that are looking to hire veterans to build their resumes and employment opportunities. DoD is all but guaranteeing that the veterans will have something to live for, to look forward to after service. 90% of the veterans will move back home to their childhood homes or to where they think that the jobs are. The DoD has stepped in and offered that transitional pipeline for every single veteran who will transition out of service. What you can do is contact your representatives and look into that DoD Skill Bridge program. You can get involved with local veteran hiring events at your jobs, local mental health awareness events to bring light to this topic today. And what you can also do is not only thank a veteran, but understand where the veteran is coming from. Thank you.